All right, you're watching the Sports Roundup Show. This is our NFL segment, talking about what is it? The last week of the regular season coming up. Last 3 days of the year. Merry Christmas, everybody. For those of you that it's just Christmas just passed up. But yeah, we're almost done with 2020. Last show of the year, last NFL show of the year. But what a week it's going to be for the LA Rams this week, because they're playing their last game. And their starting quarterback, Jared Goff, is not going to be there due to a broken thumb.
Mike, I just want to point out something real quick that you said. So week 17, some people were saying that we would even get here, Mike, for the NFL. Because you know how they have.
Oh yeah, that's right. With all the positive. I mean, I didn't doubt we were going to get here, but I know a lot of people did.
So I'm, you know me, Mike. I'm always positive. So I see all these reports, Yahoo and whatnot. Saying, oh, they should cancel the league, especially after week 8 when the Baltimore Ravens won, breakout happened, and then
Tennessee Titans outbreak.
Tennessee Titans won. Everybody's cancel the league, but
yeah,
happens. We're finally here. We got through it. I mean, kudos to the NFL. I just want to say that. But yeah, so to the Rams, Jared Goff, Mike. I was telling you this earlier, Mike. They can go from being 9-4 to just. You automatically making the playoffs. You think somebody's 9-4. You just know they're making the playoffs, but they're in the NFC West, which is one of the toughest divisions. And the Bears somehow is making a comeback when they thought that they was out of it. And the Rams cannot make the playoffs because of what happened in the last 2 weeks. But also, we got to have a backup quarterback and John Warford starting. I'm gonna let you talk about him, Mike. But yeah, Jared Goff hurt his thumb, broke it, had surgery yesterday, and now going to this week, Mike, we got John Warford.
Yeah, so John Wolford, undrafted player, played at Wake Forest. I think I remember seeing him play, I think, a couple times in college. He did have a great college career, but did go undrafted, played in the American Alliance of Football, the defunct league. But yeah, this is going to be his first, what is it?
The what league, Mike?
The American Alliance of Football. So yeah, defunct football league. And he played for the Arizona Hotshots. So the Hotshots, who of course no longer exist. But yeah, John Wolford, this is his first NFL start, right? So what a way to start your NFL career in a must-win game for the Rams. Well, that I want to also rephrase that. It could be a must-win game for the Rams because if the Green Bay Packers beat the Chicago Bears, then the Rams get in, even if the Rams lose by 50 points.
Yeah. So good point. We can what they say, Mike. We can back our way into the playoffs if we lose because the Packers can win and we still make the playoffs. So my question to you, Mike: do you think Wolford can pull it off? Do you think that they just need to just put everything on their running backs as far as Malcolm? Well, running back because
Cam Akers and Henderson are going to probably be out, right? This week.
So Malcolm Brown is the only other running back right now that has experience. Of course, they have 2 other rookies who they said that they're going to probably bring up from the practice squad. But do you think Wolford can pull it off, or should they just rely on their defense?
I know. I think they're going to have to rely on the defense, make it a low-scoring game, just like the 49ers did this past Saturday against the Cardinals, right? They made it a low-scoring game. They won. Those 49ers, they could have won the game and we would have been in the playoffs. But as we know, they could have lost the game. I'm sorry. They could have lost the game and we would be in the playoffs. But it didn't happen. 49ers kept it a low-scoring game. They put a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray the whole game. They never let him get comfortable. I think they sacked him 5 times. That's how they won the game, right? Because they're really also very weak at quarterback right now, right? Because they're missing, of course, a lot of players. And that's what they did. So the Rams are going to do the same thing. I don't expect Wolford to really compete in this game. I think he doesn't have any experience. The Cardinals are going to find a way to get to him, I think. And the Rams just got to keep it low scoring, right? If they're down 14-21-0 early, I think this game is over.
I'm with you, Mike. I'm with you. You cannot go down by more than a touchdown because Wolford, we don't know what he can do, but we just know that it'll be tough for him to come back from a 14 or so point lead. And I do want to mention Kyler Murray. is banged up. They said that he hoped
Yeah.
that he can play, but if he can't play, then that'll be a plus for the Rams. But
Yeah.
so hopefully that happens.
And he's banged up because he got hit really hard on the last play of the game. I got a chance to watch that game on Saturday, and he got hit really hard, huge hit. He was down for a few minutes, unable to get up. He did
It's his leg.
eventually walk up.
It's his
What is
leg.
it?
It's his leg.
Yeah, his leg. So he couldn't get up. A lot of pain. But yeah, we don't know much about what his injury status is. As we know this time of year, I think teams don't really want to say much. But I think he's going to play. I don't think he's going to miss the game. The Cardinals have to win, if I'm not mistaken. I think if they lose, even if the Bears lose, the Bears get in. So the Cardinals have to win because I think the Bears have the tiebreaker over the Cardinals.
Yeah. That's why the Bears are still have a they're in the hunt, because the Cardinals right now they have the 7th seed, but yeah, so the Cardinals would have to win to get in, because if it's a tiebreaker, like you said, it would more likely go to the Bears. So let's switch over to how we got here, Mike. What happened? What happened Sunday, Mike? They just played bad. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think they just didn't play well, and I'm gonna have to say Jared Goff just didn't step up, right? He didn't have his best game. He has to play better in these big games, and I think the Rams lost, partly because of that, because he just had a poor game, threw an interception late in the first half. That was huge. And a lot of passes that could have been interceptions as well. I think the Seahawks dropped a couple balls that he threw right at a Seahawk player. Passes that were behind the Rams receivers. There was a few drop passes, right? Wasn't all Jared Goff's fault, but I think the offense was just totally out of it the whole game. The Rams defense actually played pretty good. They didn't play that bad. They played the best they could against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, it's Russell Wilson. He's in it. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer. So, I mean, they did everything they could to disrupt Russell Wilson, but their offense just didn't come to the plate.
And if you remember, there was one video during one of the shots from the sideline when Jared Goff was coming off the field, and Jalen Ramsey was talking to Jared Goff to try to motivate him, because he was saying, probably, oh, we got you. Our defense is going to stop him again to give Jared Goff another shot. Because I'm with you, Mike. Now, most of the time when Mike gets on Jared Goff, I try to still, as I said, I'm a positive person. I try to still say, give Jared Goff a chance. I remember that one game I was blaming someone on Sean McVay, because I was saying, Sean McVay shouldn't have put him in certain situations. It was a Miami game when they should have pass protected more, because the offense kept blitzing them. This game, Jared Goff, 100% his fault. Mike, it was plays to where I'm like, why are you throwing that? This one time when he had a chance to get the first down on a run.
And he slid too early.
But he didn't need to. Yeah. So that other play when he needed to get the first down, but he slid. If he just got the first down, he'd have got it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't know that Mike, the interception, Mike, who was he throwing it to?
Yeah, even Troy Aikman was shocked on the broadcast. He couldn't figure out where he was throwing the ball. I don't think anybody knows really. I just think he misplaced the ball, right? It happens, I guess. He was trying to throw it somewhere else.
Oh, Mike, we switch the roles right now. Mike. You me, I'm you, Mike. That was bad right now. That was a bad misplaced. But he was. I will agree with you, because he saw Robert Woods right there. But that was bad. He saw, I don't know, he saw Robert Woods' twin behind him or something, but that was bad, Mike.
Yeah, and then also, the Seahawk player made a great catch too. He almost, the ball could hit the ground, and he somehow made that play. But yeah, the Rams really it's been a frustrating last few weeks. It all goes back to losing to the Jets, right? Last week, we said going into that game, if they lost, it was going to be a huge problem, right? Because you can't lose to a winless team in the NFL. I mean, it just can't happen. Well, it can happen, but I mean, if you do, then it's like, look at the Cleveland Browns. They lost to the Jets on Sunday, and now I think they might not make the playoffs, right? So it just shows you how every game is very important in the NFL, and especially this season, right? I mean, both conferences have been really good. Even though we have expanded playoffs, we have an extra team in both conferences. Somehow, both conferences have almost all winning teams going into the playoffs, except, of course, for the NFC East.
Mike, and that's a good point you make, because you think because last year if the Rams they had the 7 game, 7 teams, they would have made the playoffs. So this year you're thinking, oh, it's a lock then. But like you said, both conferences it's still come down to the last week, and these Jets they're knocking out these teams that might not even they're helping out teams, so these teams won't even make the playoffs. So I'm with you. You gotta take every game seriously. It doesn't matter who you're playing, and it'll be Mike. We also didn't mention because you mentioned it before we came on. Cooper Cup might not be able to
Oh
play
yeah.
this week. So
Yeah, Cooper Cup just placed on the COVID list. It's still not clear if he tested positive or not. If it's a positive test, we know that's probably going to be
he's
out.
not playing this week. If it's a
He's not going to
positive,
play
he's
this
not
week.
playing. Yeah.
But he is on the list. I think he has to be on it for at least 5 days. So hopefully he can clear by Sunday somehow. But as we know, it's usually means they're not going to play. That's what happened to the Cleveland Browns this past week. Had a lot of guys go on the list. Jarvis Landry, the most notable one. And that's what happened. I mean, unfortunately, this is what happens, I guess, during a pandemic, and it's going to really show up in the playoffs, right? I mean, it's going to be a deal breaker for some teams.
Mike, and I don't mean to say this because I want everybody to be healthy. 2020 has sucked so much. We've seen all the deaths and whatnot. But if anybody could get COVID right now, this would be the best time so they can have time before
Get
the
healthy.
because you don't want to have nobody. You miss a game for the playoffs. That's going to set your team back really, really bad because you only have one shot. It's playoffs. It's win or go home. It's not like the NBA, the NHL. Shout out to NHL. They got that deal done and they're coming back. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is it's win or go home. For the teams that had a bye week, maybe it'll be okay if they get the COVID because they have time to come back. But you do not want to have the COVID coming into this last week right now.
Now, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the NFL with all the COVID stuff going on? Do you think the NFL will postpone any games in the playoffs if certain players test positive? Because we saw that early in the year, right? Games were moved around. I mean, I don't know if we're ahead of the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes is on the COVID list. I mean, are they actually going to play the Super Bowl without him? I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to see some games move around. I think. I don't know. I don't know what you think, but I think they have time to do it, right? I mean, the off season is very long, so they could easily push back the whole week of games or something to get people healthy.
Mike, that you need to be inside the business somewhere, Mike, because you're talking big boy business right now, Mike, because that's TV money for the playoffs, and you know how much that is going to be. So they might not want to postpone it to a different day.
Oh yeah, well that's true, yeah.
But to your point though, Patrick Mahomes, AFC Championship game, more than likely, and they want to do it because they don't want to seem biased too, Mike. They might not want to say, "Oh, no, we're not going to postpone it because we're not going to be biased." But like you said, Patrick Mahomes, he brings in all the big money from sponsors, ads. So they might just say, "Hey, let's postpone it to a different day." But then, like you said, it's gonna. Ooh, Mike, that's a tough call. If I'm Roger Goodell, that's a tough call. But I'm with you though. I would postpone it just so you have the best players out there for the playoffs. Like you said, like I said, it's win or go home. So you got to have them for the playoffs.
Yeah, you have to have the best players out there. The NFL obviously couldn't postpone the game this Sunday for the Rams, right? Because it's the last game of the season and they got to get the playoffs started on time. I wish they would have, but yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a tough game. I'm gonna be rooting for the Packers. I know that because the Packers win. It doesn't matter what we do on the field, right? I mean, we could have Jared Goff back by the first week of the playoffs. They discussed that he had a surgery on yesterday. I think it was a minor surgery. We don't have too many details on the surgery, but they're saying he might be back for the first week of the playoffs. So that's great news for the Rams if they can get in.
And they were saying on NFL Live on ESPN that it seemed like they just put like a pin because a former player broke his thumb. They were saying they just put a pin in there just to keep it in place. They say it was kind of like the Drew Brees injury. That's why he went to the Drew Brees hand specialist out here in LA from that injury that happened last year. So like you said, he could come back. No, actually, it was Steve Young. Steve Young that said that yesterday because he broke his thumb. But and he's a quarterback. So, but yeah, and also I want to mention Mike Andrew Whitworth could have a chance to come back. They just took him off of IR, so you have chance to practice. He don't have to play, but at least he can practice now. So he might be back for the playoffs if they make it. So the Rams could get some pieces back for next week, but this week will be tough. I'm with you, Green Bay. Mike, see, if they don't play people, though, their starters, how the Bears doing this? They come back and take our spot, Mike. I'm going to be upset.
No, I think the Packers are going to play their starters, though. I mean,
Mike,
because they can get, what is it?
Remember, we beat the Bears, and everybody was saying that they were done.
That's true, because the Rams, had the head-to-head against they have the head-to-head against the Bears, right? So you would think they'd be done, but in this crazy situation, there's going to be a 3-way tie if the Cardinals win and the Bears win, and essentially the Rams would be getting eliminated based on the division record they have against the Cardinals, which is really crazy, right? I mean, I don't know. I think the NFL, like we discussed before we did the show, I think they're going to have to change the playoff format. I think they have to go to a conference record only. The divisions could be there, just because, but I don't agree with this division winner thing getting in, because why should a 6-10 team go to the playoffs in the NFC East? I mean, I know why they do it, because they want to obviously guarantee a team from everywhere in the country, right, for television, but I mean, it's just not fair at all to these teams that are 9-7 and might not, or even in the AFC, there's teams that might be 10-6 and might not go to the playoffs.
Mike, so what do you think? Would you do? Because in the NBA, they were saying they should do 1 through 16. So would you just 1 through what's that, 14? You just do
no. I think you should keep the conferences, but I think they should just have like 1 through 7, right? And just not count the division. The division winner just doesn't get a guaranteed playoff spot, right? You just play your own division for matchups, and I guess it won't guarantee a playoff spot. That's what I think should be the way it should be done.
Nah, you don't hear that too much inside the NFL. You hear that about in basketball a lot. That'll be something different. I think I'm with you when you were saying that the reason why they wouldn't, because they want a team from every market at least, and or else they wouldn't even have divisions. But that's
or they could just do it where they just make the divisions larger too, right? They, instead of having 4 teams per division, they can have 8 teams per division. Just have 4 divisions in the whole NFL, right? 8 times 4 is 32.
Because that's what they're kind of doing in a bubble, right? For the NHL.
NHL, right? 7 or 8 teams, yeah. So they could just do that, 8 teams in each division, and they just have the division winners there to obviously get a spot. They'll be the top 4, the top 2, right, in the conference, and then everybody else will just be the records, right? I think that's the best way to do it.
Question to you, though. Do you think that would dilute the division playing against each other?
It would. The division rivalry would. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why the NFL doesn't want to change it, because they want to guarantee these divisional games mean something for television. They have, of course, everything set up where you're only being shown games from your local market. So they want every game to count pretty much.
And that's why week 17, every team inside the division plays each other. So the Raiders are going to play the Broncos this week. The Chargers is playing the Chiefs.
Yeah.
We had the Rams, of course, Cardinals, Seahawks, Niners, Pittsburgh. So they're playing. So maybe that might mess up too. But whatever it can do, Mike, to get the Rams in there, I'm with it.
Yeah, whatever they could do to get us in there every year, that'd be great. So I want to thank everybody for watching our NFL video here on the Sports Roundup Show. Happy New Year, everybody. Last show of the year. Happy New Year.